What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is TheTarians and welcome back to another episode of Skin It or Skip It, the show where I tell you whether a skin is worth your hard-earned money and you should buy it, or whether you should keep your money and use it to pay for the next luck skin instead. Skin It or Skip It is based upon the skin's visual effects, sound effects, how good it feels to use, and is it worth buying over the other skins that the champion has. On today's episode, we have the newest skin line of street demons, including Neeko, Zyra, Brand, Rengar, Dr. Mundo, the new champion Briar, and the latest Mythic skin of Crystalis Motus Taliyah. Before I begin, if you like this type of content, go hit that subscribe button down below so you can be updated when any of my new content comes out. Alright, cool. When I first saw this Neeko skin, my initial reaction was essentially just, nice. Which stayed the same all the way through playing with the skin. Every single skin that Neeko has gotten has been a pretty nice skin in my opinion, and I think that's due in part to how Neeko's kit looks even in base. There's a lot of visually appealing things to work with, and due to her Q and E having different forms and her ult being massive, there's a lot of visual effects that can be expressed in her skins. So with this, Street Demon follows the natural formula of her Q and E being fairly nice pieces and her ultimate really being the centerpiece of the skin, and I'm happy to report that to all of my Neeko main subscribers that the skin is honestly really nice. The sound effects, the visual effects, and even the fact that she's now much more like a lizard in her model are all such great things. Overall, I think the skin deserves a solid 7 out of 10, as I personally think some of her other skins just have a bit more pizzazz when it comes down to it, but Street Demon Neeko is definitely worth it too. Definitely skin it. Now, I'll be the first to admit that Zyra is just one of those champions that straight up does not give me the slightest interest in playing her, much less paying attention to her skins. However, Street Demon honestly makes me want to play the champion. I don't know if it's the plants feeling nicer here compared to the other skins outside of maybe Crime City Nightmare, yes that's my favorite one even though I know a lot of people like Crystal Rose more, shut up. Or if it's something to do with the dark blue just fitting her here more than the other champs that use dark blue in this skin line. It just all feels really nice, and I don't have any big complaints when it comes down to it. The visual and sound effects do really well here, and the 2D aesthetic of the skin line works really nicely on her plants, and her ult is just as amazing as you would want it to be. I'll give it a solid 8 out of 10 and say that you should probably skin it. Also, mommy? This skin is honestly just a little bit pay to win in terms of a skin, and it's really clear to see why. The 2D effects just didn't translate incredibly well to Brand, but most of all, it has to be his W. Normally, Brand's W starts at the outer circle and moves inwards, letting you know how long you have before the ability does its actual damage. But with Street Demon Brand, his W's indicator is only the little graffiti being spray painted in the exact center, which doesn't convey the timing of the ability very well in my opinion. Meaning that people under this ability don't have a great visual transparency of when it's going to go off, they just have a little circle under them that does damage. Moving away from that, the skin just didn't ever feel great to see, and I'm unsure if that's due to Brand's model being incredibly old. However, other skins he has do quite well in the visual department, so I don't think that's going to be it. I think overall the skin just lacked a lot of polish to it that I expected and felt a lot more like a fan-made skin to me than some of Brand's other options especially. I'm gonna go with a 3 out of 10 on this skin as the 2D effects that Street Demon is going for just didn't hit the mark on this skin in my opinion. Definitely skip it unless you want to pay to win with the W. There's something I noticed while playing Street Demon Dr. Mundo, and that's that it's kinda hard to make visually appealing skins for Mundo that aren't visually appealing due to the model. Mundo's E doesn't have a whole lot you can do with it unless it's a knockback, which you're not seeing unless you're killing something. The W is not very visually amazing in any of his skins outside of Corporate Mundo in my opinion, and his Q is just alright when it comes to adding visual appeal and effects. So that really leaves you needing an appealing base model and an appealing ultimate model to make a Mundo skin feel nice overall. I think Street Demon Mundo did an overall good job though, but it's certainly not great in my opinion. His Q is still a great ability, his W has a nice mask under it to make it visually distinct and add something to it as an ability, his E's knockback does look and sound quite nice, and his ultimate form does remind me a little bit too much of Green Mundo, but the arms look quite nice here. While it does feel like there could have been better skin lines to put Mundo in, and better champs to take his place, I'll definitely say that Street Demon Mundo is a solid 6 out of 10 in my opinion, and it's a bit of a toss-up on whether or not you should skin it or skip it. Skin it if you like Mundo, skip it if you don't see yourself playing the champion whatsoever. Rengar skins are always tough to judge because let's be honest, no skin that he gets can match the perfection of Pretty Kitty Rengar. However, I think Street Demon Rengar does things very well with his overall design and the implementation they went for with him in this skin. The comic book style expressions that happen on his Q and empowered W, the ink that comes off for his W empowered E, and footprints of his R, and his overall color palette and sound design are really just something nice in my opinion. It's certainly not the best skin, as at times I felt myself pulled out of the Street Demon aesthetic and pulled into other skin aesthetics such as a more mechanical skins with his base E and Ink Demon with his base W, which makes sense since they're both ink based skin lines. It's definitely not a bad skin at all though, and I think I'll be happy rating it a solid 7 out of 10, as the sound effects could have been a little bit better in my opinion, and the overall execution of the Street Demon theme could have been done a lot better for him than it was. Definitely skin it though, because it's a solid addition to any Rengar player's catalog. This is Briar's release skin, which means we don't have anything to compare it to, so the skin has to stand out on its own for now, and luckily I think it's honestly better than the base skin. The blues and yellows of the skin makes everything Briar does a lot more visually noticeable than what she does in base, and it also makes everything just that much more visually clear, which is always super nice in my opinion. I also think Riot did a good job with fitting Briar very well into this inky graffiti thematic and giving her outfit some very nice touches overall for the model. While I haven't been able to play her a lot on the PvE, it all feels quite nice in this skin and really gives a lot of good vibes while playing the skin. Overall, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, as it's her only skin, so it rates pretty high in comparison to her other non-existent skins, but it also feels very good in comparison to just base Briar. In addition, it all works very well together and feels like it'll be a staple skin for her mains unless something insane comes out. Definitely skin it. The last Crystalis Motus skin we got was held back a lot in my opinion by Leona's terrible base model, making the skin feel like a waste given how good the visual and sound effects were, but I'm happy to report that this is not the case here for Crystalis Motus Taliyah. This skin almost feels like a natural progression of her character and lore, gaining power over powerful gems rather than just stone and harnessing it into her magic and fighting style. Taliyah feels so good in this skin, and every part just feels so good to use. The sound effects just add so much to the skin that make it so much more appealing, and the crystals you shoot out on her Q, the shove feeling really 3D on her W, and the effects of her E rocks popping are all amazing. Not to mention her ult and passive being great in their respective visuals as well. This skin is just so much more worth it than the last Crystalis Motus skin due to the better base model Taliyah has, and definitely still has the same visual quality that the last one has as well. I'll give this skin a solid 9 out of 10, as the fact that it's in the Mythic shop means you can't get it all the time, and that takes away from it being a perfect skin in my opinion. Definitely skin it though. And with that, we're all done with the Street Demon skins and Crystalis Motus Taliyah. Thank you all so much for watching, and tell me if you agree or disagree with me in the comment section down below, and tell me which skins you plan on buying, if any. Also, as a quick update, the honest truth about Briar will not be releasing for a while, as I was only able to get one game of her on the PvE because every game I was either not playing jungle, someone picked her first because I was red side, or someone would take her into a lane, even going so far as to take her to ADC of all fucking places, and proceed to int, and then blame Riot for not giving them jungle instead of just letting the jungler fucking play her. I played with too many lane Briars and only got one game on her, which only has okay footage and is certainly not enough to make a full script off of, so the video was delayed while I try to play her on live servers. So I'll keep you guys updated about the progress of that video over on my community tab, which you should be checking daily for updates from me anyways, and hopefully I will be releasing that video in a timely fashion. Anyways, go hit that subscribe button to be notified anytime any of my new videos comes out, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye!